Any new sectors that you're watching for 2025?
I'm watching space, I'm watching robotics, I'm watching many such sectors which are purely tech.
When you hire people, उसमें क्या देखते हैं?
80-20. 80 is attitude and 20 is capability.
IPO का जो trend है, which is now catching up, when is the right time to prepare for that journey?
Firstly, let me clarify, IPO is a milestone. IPO is not an end.
Yeah.
India is the highest return of SoftBank investments in the world, higher than US, China and Japan.
Is it?
Yes.
एक entrepreneur को किन 4-5 चीजों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए बिजनेस बनाते हुए?
High performance culture. And that I think is the turning point of many startups.
एयरटेल में मिस्टर सुनील भारती मित्तल ने आपको कंपनी की चाबी थमाई, वो जर्नी कैसे बनी?
So many shifts happened. For example,
जियो was a very big competition to एयरटेल, और आज एयरटेल और जियो ही है मार्केट में, तो क्या किया ऐसा? Great. Welcome sir. Welcome Manoj Kohli sir on the Akaash Gupta show. हम 6 महीने से मिल रहे हैं और शायद हम 16 साल पहले एक ही कंपनी में थे, right? Which was Airtel. So you are, from that ages back, I've been following your journey. I've been getting inspired. तो आज thankfully I would say 2025 में ये मौका मुझे मिला कि आपको मैं अपने पॉडकास्ट पे बुला.
Thank you, my pleasure. And I'm delighted to be with you.
Thank you sir. Thank you. तो सर मुझे ना आज इन लोगों से बात करनी है जो स्टार्टअप बनाना चाहते हैं, जो बिजनेस में हैं और बिजनेस के कुछ चैलेंजेस सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. यू हैव एनॉर्मस एक्सपीरियंस राइट फ्रॉम DCM श्रीराम टू एयरटेल टू बिल्डिंग सॉफ्ट बैंक इन इंडिया, राइट? तो कुछ फ्यू नगेट्स ऑफ योर जर्नी दैट यू वांट टू शेयर कि एक एंटरप्रेन्योर को किन 4-5 चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए बिजनेस बनाते हुए, वो आपसे शुरुआत करना चाहेंगे.
Thank you, Akash. This is very important issue. An entrepreneur सबसे पहले अपने अंदर सोचे कि मैं कैसा हूँ, मेरी वैल्यूज़ कैसी हैं, मेरे आइडियाज़ कैसे हैं. Because a strong entrepreneur internally will win much faster. So first is not outside, first is inside the entrepreneur. Your values, your ethics, your ideas, your passion to execute, your speed, your positive attitude. Because attitude is altitude.
Yeah, I love that.
So पहले तो entrepreneur internally has to get strong. Because that I think is the biggest thing about entrepreneur. And luckily Indian entrepreneurs, as I've seen, are fantastic. I think our young boys and girls, especially who come out of small towns, medium towns, even villages, are fantastic. Their internal strength is very high. Like you. So that is number one. Number two is they have to think of a right idea, product idea or a service idea which has a gap in the market. So they have to identify the gap and the product or the service which will fulfill the gap.
तो वहीं पे अटक जाते हैं बहुत सारे लोग, ये गैप ही नहीं ढूंढ पाते.
नहीं, gap, that means they are not understanding the consumer pain. You have to understand the pain of the consumer. जहाँ pain होगा वहाँ gap होगा, और जहाँ gap होगा वहाँ opportunity होगी. So the moment you identify, do a gap analysis, you will say, these are the things I have to do, my service or my product has to do, and therefore this becomes my opportunity.
Sure.
So सबसे पहले तो ये है, if this gap is big enough and your service or product is attractive enough or fulfilling the gap perfectly, that is a great starting point.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then you have to dress that gap into a proper product, into a product which attracts the consumer.
Okay.
क्योंकि अगर उस product में USP नहीं होगा, कोई यूनिक फीचर नहीं होगा, कोई इनोवेशन नहीं होगी, कोई आइडिया अच्छा नहीं होगा, नया आइडिया नहीं होगा, फ्रेशनेस नहीं होगी. I remember I used to be in Honda Motors long time back, and the chairman Suchiro Honda used to say, we are the best makers of engines in the world, and then we dress the engines in different ways. We make cars, we make snow throwers, we make gensets, we make this. वो engine को ही हम dress up कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा, that's how they used to think.
That's how they think.
Wow.
So entrepreneur has to think like that कि मेरा core क्या है और उसको मैं फिर consumer के requirement के लिए base पे मैं dress करूँगा ताकि it becomes attractive for the consumer.
Makes sense.
So this is the second point where you make it very attractive
Sure.
for the consumer.
Sure.
Once these two steps are done, then comes the third step, which is a profitable business model. कि ये प्रोडक्ट या ये सर्विस को बेचने के लिए मेरे को क्या करना है, किस तरीके से इट विल रीच द हैंड्स ऑफ द कंज्यूमर, एंड वंस इट रीचेस द हैंड्स ऑफ द कंज्यूमर, हाउ विल कंज्यूमर बी एबल टू यूटिलाइज इट और यूज इट, and in the process am I making money?
That's very tricky.
So the product going from me to the consumer, is it profitable? And if it is not profitable, I have to rethink the business model. Till I get the business model which is profitable, I will not do anything as an entrepreneur.
But the world is different, right? Most of the startups, they start with seeding in some discounts or offering freebies. Maybe Jio also started with that.
No, I'm not talking of gestation period.
Okay.
For everything, there is a gestation period.
Okay.
12 months, 18 months, 24 months, whatever it is.
ठीक.
But finally, it has to be profitable at a certain scale.
बिल्कुल.
You can't have a product or a service which is not profitable. So you have to plan for profitability.
Sure.
And not only profitability, you have to plan for economies of scale. As the scale goes up, your margin should go up.
Makes sense.
But frankly, if you do such a hard work, fulfill a need of the society, need of the consumer, gap को plug कर रहे हो आप, and उसके बाद आप profit नहीं कमा रहे, there's something wrong somewhere.
Yeah. Totally.
So the business model has to be so creative, so well constructed that it has to be profitable. And that's what I did in Airtel. In Airtel, what we did was we made a unique business model in a deep pocket business. Because telecom is a deep pocket business, and in Airtel we didn't have that much money in the pocket.
Yeah.
So we created a new business model of outsourcing. Outsourcing network, outsourcing IT, outsourcing towers, outsourcing distribution, outsourcing call centers. Because we didn't have deep pockets like Western companies
To do everything in-house.
to do everything in-house.
Wow.
So it was a new idea to make business model profitable.
Wow, that's amazing.
So not only there is an innovation in the product and the service, but also there is an innovation in the business model.
Business model. Yeah, everything is out.
So there is a new way of doing things. And I remember when we made this business model and we presented to our board was quite hesitant initially because nobody in the world had done this. You know, so it was the first time. So everything has a first time.
Yeah.
So, but I think it went well. So that is the next step.
Right.
After that, there is a very important step of brand. Now, for B2C, brand is more important. Even for B2B, the brand is critical. दोनों तरफ critical है. B2C में तो बहुत critical है. And it has to be admired brand. Simple, and you have to lift the brand to where people should have emotional touch with the brand. And brand is what? Brand is not TV ads. Brand is the experience of the customer with your product and service. If the experience is bad, brand is bad. If the experience is good, brand is good.
Word of mouth से ही spread हो जाएगा.
Ah, absolutely. You don't need to advertise. You don't need to go to TV. You don't need to go to print.
Wow.
So the experience of customer is the brand. And brand also becomes internal to the extent of employees. That how employees behave with the world is also the brand. How they speak, how they respect the customers, the vendors, the partners is also a brand. They represent a brand.
Yeah. Are they using your product?
Like Zypp.
True.
There is a Zypp way.
बिल्कुल.
And people then start identifying outside that this is the Zypp way. This is the Zypp culture. And hence this is Zypp brand.
वो हरा है तो फिर जिप है होना चाहिए, है ना?
वो अच्छे लोग हैं, अच्छा ब्रांड है, अच्छी सर्विस है, स्पीड है, रिस्पॉन्सिवनेस है, वो Zypp है.
बिल्कुल.
So brand is important, and brand has to be admired, and people have to be emotional about it.
True.
Then they will come back to brand again and again.
Makes sense.
Next is more internal about high quality leadership team professionalizing the startup. So a lot of founders are very smart, and generally all founders are very smart, tech background, they know consumer problems, they know what are the solutions, they know how to do it, but they try to do everything themselves. And that's a mistake. You have to professionalize the company. You have to bring in domain experts, professionals. And the more you will do it, better you will be and faster you will grow.
Yeah, I learned it the hard way. पहले 2 साल में सब खुद करने की सोचता था और फिर धीरे जब
2 साल तो चलो ठीक है, बट उसके बाद नहीं, उसके बाद नहीं.
पहली बार जब किसी को आउटसोर्स किया ना, मैंने कहा ये तो बहुत सही है. अब मैं शायद कुछ अनलॉक कर पा रहा हूँ, और जो मैं रोज कर रहा था अब आउटसोर्स कर दिया.
But outsourcing,
within the team.
or professionalizing doesn't mean that your responsibility goes away. Your responsibility stays with you. But there is somebody else who is doing it maybe better than you, because he or she is a domain expert. You are not a domain expert in everything. You may be expert in 2-3 things, not in everything. So that is very important. And last but not the least, of course there are many things, but last but not the least is high performance culture.
उस पे बताइए सर.
And that, I think, is the turning point of many startups. Good culture, high performance culture, or toxic culture. There are all kinds of cultures I see. But culture has to be very transparent, very open, very flexible, very inspiring. Because the Gen Z, and I've got children who are Gen Z, so I can understand, they are not only, they want a purposeful company which has a purpose. Like you are green, there is a purpose behind this. They also want freedom, they also want empowerment, they also want respect. But companies who try to control too much, who don't have culture which is respectful, or not very open, they will not succeed with Gen Zs. Gen Zs will leave them. So culture has to be very open. And leaders have to understand, including founders, that if they show their vulnerability, if they show their weakness, for example, I make a mistake as a founder, I should say openly that I made a mistake. It's okay, I'm a human being. And you will be more respected actually. Rather than be arrogant that I'll never make a mistake. And then people in the company will be so scared of making mistakes. The culture will go bad.
Wow, that's a powerful.
So culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture is very strong thing.
Wow. थोड़ा सा example दीजिए ना sir, because I think we've spoken a bit about high performance.
Let me go back to
Airtel or whichever days that you.
Airtel is a great example where culture.
I used to love the culture at Airtel.
Culture helped Airtel beat competition who were 1,000 times bigger than it. Wow. How? The culture had speed. Speed was the biggest weapon of Airtel to go ahead of competition.
And such crazy competition.
Such big competition in a deep pocket industry. Similarly, look at some very good startups. Look at Ola. Fantastic new technology, EV, new battery, new technology battery, high market share, competition, fantastic brands, still doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with no manufacturing background.
Came in from nowhere.
Yeah, Bhavish did a fantastic job. Similarly, Lenskart. Great idea of specs, contacts, and powered sunglasses. A new business model which nobody in the world has, using AI for the frame and based on face match. Great culture. And Zomato and Blinkit, fantastic culture. Passion, huge speed, new ideas. For example, Blinkit, yesterday I was reading that they have launched a 10-minute ambulance.
Yeah, I read it. Crazy.
Fantastic, great idea. Which there is a need of society.
True.
It is need.
And people were saying 10 minute में grocery किसको चाहिए, ambulance क्यों नहीं दे रहे? They reciprocated.
Absolutely. These are the ideas. So I'm just saying the startups really are doing a fantastic job. And let me tell you, I believe that Indian startups, which have now become unicorns or decacons, some are decacons, some are unicorn, they will go global now. Because these brands are fantastic. Their business models are very affordable. The entire Western world is very, very high cost. And by the way, not high technology. India has higher technology than Western world today. So actually, Indian startups go global into US, into Europe, into other Asia Pacific countries, Middle East, Africa. Indian startups will conquer the world.
But sir, मैं थोड़ा सा अब आपकी जर्नी में जानना चाहूँगा that Mr. Manoj Kohli came from where? How did he learn so much in his life, in his career, build such large institutions? What are those building blocks? कहाँ से आए वो सब आपके अंदर?
I came from a very middle class family in Delhi, and my parents came from Pakistan after partition and started from zero. And I could see the struggle when I was born. And when you start from zero, you have a struggle, real struggle. And they really worked hard to educate me and my sisters. And I started my career after passing out Shri Ram College at 20. So now I'm in my 46th year of professional life. It looks like 46 days. Because I feel as young and enthusiastic at heart as I was at 20. But I feel that it's all about learning. It's all about growing yourself. So one thing I can tell you, from 20 I started the learning curve, from sugar and chemicals, then fertilizers, then engineering in Calcutta, then engineering and air conditioning in Hyderabad. In the meantime, worked in US, worked in Japan, worked in China, and then came to Escorts, started in Telecom. After 16 years in manufacturing, got to Telecom for 20 years. Airtel, built Airtel in India, built Airtel in Africa, and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, 20 countries. And then after 20 years, I felt I should do something fresh. So I joined SoftBank for 8-9 years. And last year I left SoftBank after SoftBank invested $15 billion in 25 companies, and India is the highest return of SoftBank investments in the world, higher than US, China, and Japan.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow. That's
So I'm so proud of the SoftBank team. Great job done. And then last year I left SoftBank. I started this new journey of being a business advisor, global business advisor, director and a coach. I work in 4 markets: US, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. These are the markets I've worked in my life. And I help companies like your company in scaling up globally, in modernizing and transforming themselves, digitizing themselves, and also building a high quality leadership teams, high performance work culture. Because these are the foundations of a great business. And I think last year, for example, my learning of so many new technologies like EV, RE, battery, robotics, drones, space, and so many other technologies. So actually at last year has been a faster learning for me compared to when I was 20.
wow.
Because of technologies. I love technologies.
Amazing. No, I would love to announce on this podcast that Sir has joined Zypp Electric as an advisor, right? So, and we're so grateful to have you on board and help our journey towards.
You're not only a passionate founder, but you have a great team.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, मैं ये जानना चाहूँगा कि आपने ये जो जर्नीज करी, इन जर्नीज में कुछ टर्निंग पॉइंट्स जो आपको, जैसे पहले आप एक मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी या ग्रेजुएट होंगे, आपको कहीं डाल दिया होगा, वहाँ से आपने कुछ सीखा होगा, और एयरटेल में मिस्टर सुनील भारती मित्तल ने आपको कंपनी की चाबी थमाई, वो जर्नी कैसे बनी?
I feel that the journey now looks very, very romantic. Actually, it is not that romantic. It had a lot of tough points. But I can say I enjoyed every moment. I enjoyed every day. Whether it was easy or difficult, whether it was enjoyable or less enjoyable, I enjoyed it. Because frankly, I enjoy building businesses, building companies, building organizations. So many shifts happened, many times. For example, when I moved from, I started with HR initially. After my training finished in DCM, I took charge of HR, and then after HR, I moved to general management at 29, when I was 29, to Calcutta. I became director of this company, Shriram company, and which was very tough because firstly it was a sick company, and secondly it was Calcutta, which is not an easy place compared to many other places in the world. So I spent 3 years. I think it was a very, very good learning. And then I switched to air conditioning industry, which was again a very attractive industry. And today it's one of the biggest industries in India. And spent 3 years there, did a lot of great expansion and growth. And then moved into telecom. Now moving from manufacturing to telecom was a big shift. But telecom at that point in 95 was brand new. I mean, it was only government, BSNL, just to start. So that was a bold move, and I felt something told me inside me that this is going to be a great sector.
Acha. You took a punt.
I took a punt. And Mr. Rajan Nanda, who was the chairman of Scouts at that time, he gave me an option that, okay, you have 3 choices. You can take over tractors, you can take over JCB, or you can take over telecom. I said telecom. So he was surprised. He said, but you don't know anything about it. I said, that's why I want to do it. Because I don't know anything about it. But in 6 months' time, I want to learn a lot.
Okay.
So learning ability is important, but learning agility is more important.
Okay.
Even today, at my age, I think learning agility is very, very important for us, for both founders and professionals. Fast speed of learning. So I learned, I think in telecom, 6 months I learned so much. And then I moved to Airtel, and we scaled up Airtel from 1 million to 10 million to 25 million to 50 million to 100 million to 200 million to 300 million to 400 million. So now it is 560 million
Users.
And then I moved to Africa in 2010. And that was a great challenge. I wanted to learn some new market. And Africa is a huge new market, which will be bigger than China and India at some point. So I learned about 20 countries in Africa. And then, of course, SoftBank taught me a lot of new things. So each of these shifts was a very, very big entrepreneurial shift. And you can look at it as a risk, but you can also look at it as an opportunity. So I always looked at it as an opportunity. For example, when I moved from Airtel to SoftBank, my first job was as chairman of the renewable energy company of SoftBank. And I learned, in 6 months, I learned solar, wind. I visited the biggest plants of solar and wind in Europe, US, China, and learned so much in 6 months. And it was fantastic, because this is the biggest transformation in the world is either energy transformation or EV transformation.
Correct. So what you're saying is that you've always picked up challenges in your journey.
Absolutely.
कि कुछ नया है, सीखने को मिलेगा, कूद जाता हूँ. Is that the मूल मंत्र?
You should never hesitate to take up challenges. The only thing is you should think about it thoroughly, what I need to learn and how fast I need to learn.
तो सर ये आपने बात करी challenges पिक करने की. अब एक स्टार्टअप एंटरप्रेन्योर और एक एम्प्लॉई जॉब, you're building a company, you're तो क्या डिफरेंस है दोनों में? Is there a difference that a lot of people say कि मुझे तो फाउंडर ही बनना है आजकल, but you've built companies, you're almost there in terms of doing everything there, right? तो कुछ फर्क है इसमें या?
देखिए, entrepreneur takes the biggest risk. That is very, very clear. He brings up an idea, he tests and validates that idea, he builds a business model, he tests and validates the business model, profitability, etc. And then builds an organization, builds everything. So highest risk taker is the entrepreneur, no doubt on that. But the biggest opportunity for an entrepreneur is to make the company, the organization entrepreneurial. Because I feel that companies which are initially, and let me describe 4 stages of a company.
Sure.
So initially it is EE company. EE means entrepreneur, which means it started by entrepreneur and even the work is being done by entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like you said, for 2 years you did everything yourself. So that is EE.
See.
And then becomes EP, phase 2, where entrepreneur leads it, but P means professionals support it.
Okay. Nice.
And that happened with you. And maybe you are in that stage. It's happening.
Correct.
Third stage, which you will enter now in the next maybe 3-4 years, is PE. You will make professionals, senior leaders, in very crucial positions, give them all the empowerment, give them all what support they need, and you will be behind them. They will do all the hard work, they will lead the mission, they will really bring their best talent into the company, best capability into the company, and you will support them in difficult times, difficult problems, etc.
Sure.
That is PE.
Wow.
And the last 4th stage is where you should not go, is PP, where everything is professional. And I think that is not so great because entrepreneurial spirit goes away. Spirit is the crucial thing.
Yeah.
So you are now entering the next stage, which is PE. You should remain there forever.
Bilkul.
Because a lot of multinationals have gone beyond that into PP stage, and they've become very bureaucratic, very hierarchic, and very political. And they've lost the entrepreneurial spirit. They've become too large. Their decision making is slow. And therefore they lose out.
A lot of companies in Japan essentially...
In US, if you see the top 10 companies in the world over the last 50 years, there's been a lot of change.
Yeah.
And companies who have become PP kind of companies have have fallen down.
True.
But companies who have retained that entrepreneurial spirit, let's take Apple. Despite becoming so big, it's nearly a 4 trillion company.
Yeah.
It is still entrepreneurial.
Very much.
I mean, every month you get a software upgrade of 25 changes in your iOS, and you may need only 2 out of them, but it is offering you 25, which is you can use anything. It is so innovative, so entrepreneurial, close to customer, understands the pains and the expectations of the customer. That is what is the strength of Apple.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And there are many other companies as large, but they're too slow. And not close to customer.
Makes sense.
So PP is a danger signal. The moment your company becomes slow in decision making, the moment it becomes bureaucratic, which means paperwork and uske sign chahiye, the moment it becomes hierarchical, कि वो approve करेंगे, वो नहीं कर, आप नहीं कर सकते, आप junior हो. The moment it becomes political, that means those are very, very danger signals, bad danger signals for you to change and intervene immediately.
Yeah. No, absolutely makes sense. No, we'll take care of that. We'll always be entrepreneurial. Innovate करते रहो, speed से execute करते रहो, नया. Makes sense. Sir, आपका वो मुझे I would love the audience to know your rule of domination of any market, any business that you build. How do you dominate?
It depends on what is your own aspiration. Some people have aspiration that I will be a small market share in many markets.
Okay.
But there is a big danger in this aspiration because small market share can be wiped out by a strong competitor, new competitor, in short period. So my recommendation to all the founders is that dominate the domestic market first. By domination, your definition could be 40%. Somebody's definition can be 50%. Somebody can be 60%.
Right.
It is your definition.
Sure.
But dominate means you are the boss. You are number one in the market. And because you dominate the market, customer prefers you. You can retain customers. You can earn more wallet share from the customers and really make a lot of profitability. And then you go to other markets one by one outside India and dominate there also. So go slow, go market by market. Objective is not to have 10% market share, 5% market share, and have superficial presence.
Yeah.
Objective is to have deep presence.
Sure.
And that to large markets. Because the effort of getting into small market is same as effort of getting into large market.
Yeah.
Effort is same. So it's better to go to a large market and then stay there, work hard, penetrate into the market as much as possible so that you dominate that also. It will take some time. It will take few years.
True.
Don't be in a hurry. Have patience.
Yeah.
Because profitability only comes with domination.
तो जो आपका वो थंब रूल है कि पहले इंडिया में
पहले अपने डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में आपका हो सकता है कि योर डोमेस्टिक मार्केट इज कर्नाटका और महाराष्ट्र और एनसीआर पहले अपने घर में आपकी डोमिनेशन होनी चाहिए तो उससे पहले आप बाहर नहीं जाएं करें डोमिनेशन उसके बाद आप दूसरी स्टेट्स में जाएं एक एक करके जाएं वो बड़ी स्टेट्स में जाएं and then when once you're dominating in India then you go out of India again to large market
एयरटेल ने भी ऐसे किया था
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
एयरटेल का यही प्लेबुक था सर एयरटेल में एक और चीज़ मैंने देखी थी कि हर स्टेट और सिटी के वो सिटी सीईओज होते थे और वो अपना पूरा ऑर्ग अपने हिसाब से चलाते थे एक मार्केट विजिट का बहुत कल्चर था मेरे को बड़ा मज़ा आता था आई थिंक कुछ अवार्ड्स और इन सब का तो था ही तो ये कुछ कुछ चीज़ें जो एक स्टार्टअप को भी फॉलो करनी चाहिए फ्रॉम द डेज ऑफ एयरटेल विच यू ब्रॉट वीड लव टू लर्न
So Airtel was also a startup at that time. At that time, it was a very small startup. It didn't have too much deep pockets. It was funded by Singtel and Warburg Pincus, etc. And that helped Airtel to grow fast. But it had a very, very PE culture. I think it was the culture which was the turning point of Airtel compared to any other factor. Yes, it had an admired brand. Airtel is a great brand. It had a unique business model. It had many good things going for it, but finally it is a culture and a strong leadership team which Airtel had. Now, some practices of Airtel which were fantastic. For example, everything was driven by the market, by the customer. All decision making was led by customer behavior and customer preference. I think that I think is crucial for success. I mean, you can't be inward looking organization. You have to be customer outward looking organization and always listening to. For example, I used to travel 15-20 days a month. All leaders used to. And always the travel plan was first half of the day was in the market, listening to customers, dealers, distributors, understanding the dynamics of the market. Second half was financial reviews. Because we were very, very tough on financial reviews. And evening was always celebrations. Celebrating victories, small victories, big victories, not only by individuals but by teams. We prefer teams. And not only by Airtel team but also by Ericsson team, Nokia team, IBM team, all teams. As one team. Ecosystem, correct, partner ecosystem. So these were some very good practices which we did. And people love to work for the mission of Airtel, a mission called Airtel. And people said, I am Airtel. It is my company. Yes, Sunil owned the company as a founder of the company. He's a great visionary and a great entrepreneur. But everyone was the owner.
वो कैसे बिल्ड करते हैं सर वो मतलब बहुत अच्छा लगा था मुझे
जब आप एम्पावरमेंट देते हैं जब आप उनको इज्जत देते हैं जब आप उनके साथ शोल्डर टू शोल्डर काम करते हैं मार्केट उनके साथ जाते हैं उनकी सलाह मशवरा मतलब यू कंसल्ट देम फॉर की डिसीजंस they become the owners. They may not have shares, but still they are owners of the company. And they take full responsibility, accountability of every decision taken. So that culture, that's why I said that is most important for success, long-term success. Short-term success तो आ सकती है, easy भी है, but long-term success comes only with that.
Any new sectors that you're watching for 2025?
I'm watching huge tech-based sectors. I'm watching space,
Acha, space tech.
fantastic sector. I'm watching robotics. I'm watching drones. I'm watching many such sectors which are purely tech.
AI?
AI of course. So I am focusing on many of these sectors, and that's what is my excitement. I think next 10, 15 years will be very exciting because the impact of technology in next 10 years will be bigger than last 100 years. And that's why it's important to focus on technology for all the founders. They should digitize their company end to end. They use all the technology. Now technologies are available
Yeah, they are.
at low cost.
Correct.
So why not use all the technologies?
Make a tech enabled.
Yes, absolutely.
When you hire people, and I'm sure you've hired so many in your journey, उसमें क्या देखते हैं कैसे?
80-20.
Okay.
80 is attitude and 20 is capability.
अच्छा.
Because my view is that capability is important. But if somebody you find who has great attitude, moderate capability, he'll be great. He'll be very good for you because his attitude is positive. He will learn more in terms of skills and capabilities. But somebody who is great in capability, but weak in attitude, so fire in the belly is most important. And I always prefer guys with great attitude. I always prefer guys who are younger in age.
And within, let's say, a 30-minute interview or an hourly interview, how would you get the sense on attitude? A few questions or a few body language?
It's not easy. You're right. It's not easy. Firstly, 2-3 of you have to meet that person. So you get 2-3 independent views. Secondly, you need to do a deep reference check from his ex-colleagues. How's his attitude? How's his behavior? When does he get angry? What are the key ethical issues which he have?
Okay.
Because people are in a great hurry when they recruit and they make mistakes.
Yeah.
You should not be in a hurry,
Okay.
especially for important positions.
Ref check is very important.
Ref check is, and deep ref check, not easy ref, not light ref check. Because you will find the real person through the ref check.
And so globally, जैसे you're seeing the US ecosystem, I'm sure within SoftBank you would have seen that, versus the Indian startup ecosystem. How do you compare the two? How are they evolving? Are we still catching up as a startup fraternity, or there's?
No, I think we have caught up very well in the last 10 years. We caught up very well. Only in deep tech, I think we have to catch up. Deep tech, I think next 5 years are crucial. If next 5 years deep tech investments go up, and because the gestation is a bit longer, and then I think we are caught up. So I believe that by 2030, India should catch up fully. India should be number one in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very confident because our young entrepreneurs are much smarter. Because the entrepreneurs in the US are dependent more on the funding. Here the entrepreneurs are dependent more on their intellectual capability, and they are very smart. They find solutions and they follow frugality.
वो तो हमारे पास मतलब है ही भारत देश में.
नहीं हमारी thanks to our mother, our mothers. I am so grateful to mothers of India that they have taught boys and girls frugality, simplicity, how to do more with less cost. And that Americans or many other Europeans, etc., don't know.
That's so powerful.
Yeah, correct.
तो I think you are a big time family man also. मैंने आपको देखा है, आपसे जब भी मैं बात करता हूँ, तो as an entrepreneur, what's the right mix of, your work is everything, right? You're building, you're hustling, and then there's a family life. Takes a toll a bit, but how do you balance it out? और आप कैसे करते थे उससे Airtel building के time?
It's only one person. I mean, you're not divided into 2 or 3. You are one.
Yeah.
And I feel that first and foremost, work you have to enjoy. Because if you enjoy your work very well, I think your balance will be okay. People who are stressed about their work, their balance will not be okay. Work-life balance, I mean, I consider, because I enjoyed my work always, I think my balance was fine. And there are two other equal priorities to work. One is family, other is health. I will put health as number one. Health is number one priority for the founders. And clearly I'm seeing many founders not focusing on that.
Yeah.
Many professionals not focusing.
You've recently seen a few deaths.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm amazed that they are not focusing on themselves. You have to invest 1 hour a day on your health and fitness. I do 1 hour a day. Even if I was very busy, even if I am taking an early morning flight, I may do half an hour, but otherwise 1 hour. And so health is most important, family is most important, and your work. So within this triangle, you have to balance yourself. So the mantra is, keep healthy and fit, enjoy your work, and spend quality time with your family. For example, there's a parent-teacher meeting, there's a sports day of your child, there's a drama of where your child is acting something. You have to be there. That's the biggest happiness for you and your family, which you will always remember. Your child will always remember for next 20, 30 years that, you know, Papa used to come to all my sports days, all my dramas, etc.
Right.
So you can't miss those moments. So balancing yourself, I know it's like a trapeze artist, but still it's possible. I've done it, and many others are doing it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, everyone can do it.
People can just keep harping about work-life balance, but सब हो जाता है. काम फिर भी leverage आप कर सकते हो.
ठीक तरह अपनी टीम बनाएंगे, अपनी कंपनी बनाएंगे, सिस्टम्स बनाएंगे, डेलीगेट करेंगे, एम्पावरमेंट करेंगे, हो जाएगा.
बट करना पड़ेगा फोकस के साथ. मेक सेंस. सर, आई थिंक I'd love to know that Jio was a very big competition to Airtel, and then there was Vodafone, and then there were Tata, and then there were so many things. मतलब I'm sure you were right at the middle of all of this which was happening. तो कैसे उस सिचुएशन को मनूवर करते हैं, और आज एयरटेल और जियो ही हैं मार्केट में मोटा, तो क्या किया ऐसा?
First and foremost, you have to remember that it is your strength which makes you successful, and it is your weakness which makes you fail.
वही तो नहीं समझ पाते सर.
It is not competition.
अच्छा.
The biggest thing is you. Internally, are you strong enough as a company? Are you fast enough as a company? Do you have positive culture? Do you have a great brand? Do you have a business model which is unique? Do you have a product which is good quality? I think these are the most important things. So if you start thinking of competition over your customer, then you land up in a bad news. The first is your customer, and how internally you deal with the customer, how you delight your customer, how you work with the customer, how you retain your customers. I think that is what Airtel was. We never thought of competition. We tracked competition, not that we didn't track, but we never thought of competition. We always went after the customer. We always went after proactively to the customer need, customer requirement, articulated needs, or even unarticulated needs. And I remember always competition used to react. In next 24 hours, 48 hours of launching of new products, new features. That's fine. And by the time they reacted, we went to another product and another feature. We were ready for next one. Wow. We were moving because of our internal strength. So I feel that is the mantra. You have to build your internal strength as an organization. And based on customer focus, customer delight.
Wow. No, I really love, अभी recently Airtel ने ये कुछ suspected spam वाला feature launch किया. Such a great insight. I love it because it just tells me I don't have any true caller and stuff. It just tells me कि यार ये नंबर नहीं उठाना, मेरे पास इतने आते हैं. Being a founder, my time is busy.
And powerful.
Very simple. Nice innovation, right? Knowing the customer.
But common sense.
Common.
ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत रॉकेट साइंस है, ऐसा नहीं है. So this is what Airtel is.
सर बिजनेस जब बनाते हैं ना, जैसे मेरे को आई लुक एट माई सेल्फ, तो येस द फर्स्ट 2 years वर मोर ऑन द ट्रबल ऑफ building the team and then finding that PMF. Once you find that the next level is expansion, growth, कि यार टीम भी बन गई, अब कुछ हो गया, अब expand करते हैं, right? And then obviously fundraising and all of that, right? So a few nuggets on the fundraising side if you can provide, कि भाई कैसे एक entrepreneur को fundraising को channelize करना चाहिए. और आप तो SoftBank में इतने founders की pitches सुन रहे होंगे. What do you look at founders when you are funding them?
So when we meet the founders, first we look at the ethics of the founders. First thing is ethical founder है कि नहीं? Does he or she have good values, core values? Because funding an unethical person is not a great idea. So SoftBank हो या कोई भी हो, never fund an unethical person. So that is the first thing. Second is the basic product or service. Is it attractive to the customer? If it is not attractive, then it's out. Third idea is that is it scalable nationally and internationally? Because one should only fund if it has scalability nationally, internationally. Some are less scalable, some are more scalable. वो हो सकता है, but it should be scalable fundamentally. Next is business model and profitability potential. What kind of profitability it can reach at a certain scale? Does it enjoy economies of scale or not? Then comes professional attitude of the founder towards professionalization of the company. Is the attitude open, positive, or not? So some founders are trying to do everything themselves by their own hands. They don't delegate or empower. That's, I think, a difficult thing. Because it will not grow. Company will not grow.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then comes, what do we hear about the company, about the culture from the employees, from the vendors, from the dealers? We do some research in terms of culture. How is it? How is it? Is it positive, negative, toxic, or very entrepreneurial? That's also a very important factor. Sure. And of course, last thing is this funding early stage, medium stage, middle stage, or late stage, etc.? That depends on every fund has its own preference of stage. So these are the factors.
You talk about fitness quite a lot also, right? That's an integral part of your life. What are things that people at various stages should focus on to get to the right scale of fitness? और आप क्या करते हो वो भी बता दो थोड़ा सा thumb rule.
So it is not about stage of life. Fitness has to be religion. It is permanent. It is like, don't you breathe every day? Don't you eat every day? Don't you drink water every day? It is like that. It is basic. Yeah. So I feel that fitness and good health is a daily affair. And 1 hour a day is an important investment, very, very important investment of all founders, all professionals in health and fitness. Wow. Otherwise, they'll suffer. At some point you will suffer. It may not suffer in 30s, may suffer in 40s. So that is number one. Number two is what you eat. And coming back to fitness, I feel that you exercise according to your preference. You can do boxing, you can do jogging, you can do yoga, you can do whatever you like.
Sports.
Sports. Yeah, whatever you like. Yeah. So it's not that you should do only this or not that. You do what you love to do, which you enjoy.
But give it 1 hour.
Give it 1 hour. Then comes eating. Eating is very, very important. And a lot of people either don't eat right things, right foods, and also timing of the eating is very important. For example, eating after late night is really bad for your health. So having dinner at 6:30, 7, perfect. But having late dinners and then sleeping will really spoil your health. So light food, easily digestible food is very, very important. And third is sleep. And sleep is a very neglected aspect of human life with Gen Z and millennials now. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because of screen time, maybe it's because of whatever.
नहीं, मैं बताता हूँ सर, मतलब मुझे पहले तो ऐसा लगता था कि सोने से ना मैं पीछे जा रहा हूँ. If I am awake, I am doing something. I am acting on, maybe emails, calls, whatever. तो मैं 4 घंटे जो कम सो रहा हूँ ना, मैं टाइम ज़्यादा निकाल रहा हूँ औरों से. ये मेरा पर्सनल थॉट था 2 साल पहले. But I would love to understand now.
No, but that thought may be okay for a very short period. 3 महीने, 6 महीने, साल के लिए. But if you continue that, you will burn out. And I think, career or a business is a marathon. 50-year marathon. It's not a sprint. कि 100 मीटर की sprint है, बस कर दिया हमने, खत्म होगी. ऐसा नहीं है. So if you want to sustain your business for next 40, 50 years, then I think you need to have good sleep. Because good sleep will repair your body at night. Next day you will be fresh in the morning. Next day your productivity will be fantastic. And you will be very attentive, your mind will work, your eyes, everything will work. True. And if you haven't slept, next day is bad. It'll be spoiled. True. And I think there are a lot of sleep problems nowadays with youngsters. And I really am amazed that it has become such a deep problem in present society.
No, I think that people are like investing in these products, like these 30,000 products to know their sleep patterns. भाई 7 से 8 घंटे सोना है.
जितनी आपकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, अगर 6 घंटे रिक्वायरमेंट है, 7 है, 8 है, कितना भी है, आपने उतना सोना है और डीप स्लीप लेनी है. अपने आप को आपने स्लीप scarcity of sleep से फंसना नहीं है, because you will get serious health problems at some point.
But how do someone know कि what's the right? Do you track your sleep or something like that?
No, I just sleep when I am sleepy. And body will tell you that you're sleepy, you sleep. and body will naturally wake up. And I normally, sometimes, especially when I have to travel, I have time in my mind, okay, this time. And I get up plus minus 10 minutes from that. So I'm just saying, body itself is a good clock. You don't need, well, by the way, you should never use alarm in the morning. The alarm is bad for because you are sleeping and your mind is resting, totally resting, and suddenly alarm goes off. It'll wake you up with a big warning, which is not good for your health. So try not to use alarms. Sleep deeply, get up when the sleep is over naturally, and you'll be fresh to achieve a lot next day.
No, I've seen that, by the way. With these devices, at least the only one thing that I've learned, the day my recovery looks good, the next day is better. Yeah. I'm churning out more things.
And your attitude is more positive.
Yeah, you're not irky. Yeah. Otherwise, you're irky through the day. Wow. That's so भाई सीख लो. अब तो सर ने भी बोल दिया है. सर IPO का जो ट्रेंड है, which is now catching up the Indian startup ecosystem also, and you've been part of so many of them. So when is the right time to prepare for that journey? What are the key ingredients? I think people want to learn a lot about IPOs. I would love for you to spend some time on.
So IPO, firstly, let me clarify. IPO is a milestone. IPO is not an end.
Yeah.
A lot of people are considering IPO as an end of something. It's not an end. The life continues beyond IPO. IPO is a simple milestone where your company or your business becomes a public company. Publicly funded company, publicly listed company, more transparent, where you disclose much more information about your business openly in your quarterly results, in your annual results, and people can be critical of your company because they don't know they know more details about your business through the disclosures. So IPO should happen when the business is reasonably mature and either profitable, just become profitable, or path to profitability should be very clear. And because the investor will invest based on your future growth plan and profitability plan. And therefore, your growth and profitability has to be very clearly delineated and very honestly delineated for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
So, and the preparation time is close to 1 year. So you have to be proactive about it. If somebody wants to do IPO in 26, I think that company should start now, preparing for it. It takes 12 months in terms of compliances, in terms of your accounting, in terms of all your litigation management, in terms of all your other issues you may have with customers, etc., etc. And finally, more importantly, profitability. And your profitability has to get to the right position. And the funds you raise should have very clear usage, which means either for growth or for acquisition of some other company, or for prepaying debt, or some existing shareholder wants to exit. So these are the reasons. But it has to be primarily growth.
Yeah.
At least half of the fund should be for growth, if not more.
Yeah.
Because the new investors will love you to grow faster.
Yeah.
And it's also important that the size of IPO is reasonable. Don't make it too large, because some degree of scarcity helps the IPO to succeed.
Okay.
And the pricing of the valuation and pricing also has to be reasonable. So you should leave something on the table for investors to earn fast. If they earn fast, they will reinvest in your company again and again. So these are some broad rules of the game.
Which means that if the multiple is about 15, then you can do it at 12. Are you trying to say?
I don't want to specify anything, but I'm just saying, if the investors earn from you very soon, then investor will come back to you, invest again into you. So if investor doesn't earn from you fast, then that investor will never come back to you.
So don't overprice.
Never overprice. Never.
Yeah, because then the market will feel cheated.
Yes.
Something like that.
Absolutely. Market should always feel gratitude that this was a great IPO, we earned well, and I want to go back and invest more money into this company in future.
So which are things that have got you the maximum learnings? What like people watch podcasts these days, books. Where do you get your learning that you're helping so many companies? I'm sure one is your experience, but while you were gaining that experience, आप कैसे सीखते थे?
No, basically mix of reading and meeting people across the world. Meeting people in Japan, China, US, Europe, Africa, listening to them, understanding their point of view, understanding the dynamics, understanding the cross-cultural issues. I think that learning is fantastic. The meeting people learning is the best. Of course, you read and understand, but reading is more static. Meeting is more lively, and the learning is far more real.
So which is what people say these days, network? You need to...
Yeah, network people use more in PR sense. I never network. I always meet people for a genuine purpose and learn from them genuinely.
Got it. Any book that you'd recommend to people?
Many books, many good books which CK has written. CK Prahlad is one of my mentors. He has written a book on bottom of the pyramid. Excellent book. Ram Charan has written great books. They're very, very good books of Elon Musk, how he built his company. So the great books. There's so many good books which I've read over the last 10, 20 years. I think there's so much to learn from these.
But you also used the word mentor, that you had a mentor. I think that concept in India is not well established. I'd love if you can double click that, कि भाई mentor क्यों चाहिए?
So as I said, I had some mentors. For example, CK Prahlad of Michigan. I studied under him. He was my mentor, taught me many things. Then Manoj Kohli ji was my mentor. He was chairman of many companies. He was secretary of heavy industry in government. The CII headquarters is now after his name. Great mentor. Whenever I had to make some big decisions about my career, etc., I used to consult him. So these are great mentors. One or two more I had. So it's important because they look at you outside in. Because you will look at yourself inside out. It's important to find out about yourself outside in, and they always throw at you a different point of view. But because they are very, very close to you, they will always give you a genuine feedback. But they'll never give you anything which is not right. They are concerned about your future.
Got it. So one should have mentors.
Yes.
And is there a process to get them, या फिर जाके approach करो? कैसे मतलब?
It depends, because with mentor you need to have a relationship of respect, relationship of being candid, open. वो relationship अच्छी होनी चाहिए.
Find that out through the industry and I think startup में भी like we've got your help as an advisor. Startups को भी ऐसा करना चाहिए.
Absolutely, very important. Because if they just do what they're doing and not change themselves at the right time, they may continue to make some mistakes.
I think that outside in perspective really helps.
Is very important.
And we did one of those workshops where we got so many nice perspectives while as if you knew the business all along.
The basic principles are similar.
So youngsters, maybe the path for youngsters, if you can lay out in the amidst all those reels and concoctions that they are into, how do they find the right path?
When I was your age, I was 25 or whatever, I had my colleagues and batchmates who were much smarter than me. Much smarter, much better educated, IITs and IIMs, and I'm neither IIT nor IIM. And I used to look at them and I used to be a bit worried that they are smarter, they are more intelligent. So how can I fulfill this gap? And I felt that I have to work harder to not only catch up. If I have to go ahead of them, I have to work harder, think better, think faster, do better, do faster, and prove it. Because till you prove it, how can you be better? Better means that you are doing something better or faster or better quality. So that I think is important. You have to prove it to yourself, your boss, your company again and again. And if you prove it once, twice, thrice, then you will get a badge on your chest. And company will say, she is great. She does things again and again. She always runs faster. She always has a new idea, better idea. And not that you're doing it because of competition. You're doing it because of yourself. You have a fire in the belly.
Yeah.
And your boss, ideally, your boss should be your best mentor. Ideally. But there is another way. Your boss's boss. And sometimes bosses do skip in interviews. They meet. Your boss's boss can definitely be a good mentor. So mentors inside the company and mentors outside the company. Outside depends on your relationship. You need to build some relationship with somebody. He or she should then spare some time for you.
Last question, because I know you have a hard stop. Which was the toughest time of your career, according to you? जब आपने सबसे ज़्यादा सीखा और आपने सबसे ज़्यादा फील किया कि यार ये तो सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा, कुछ अलग है.
बहुत सारे थे एक्चुअली. एक कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है. बहुत मुश्किल है. When I was in Calcutta, it was very tough. It was a sick company.
हाँ, वो सिक को
turn around करना. Then I was in Delhi chemical plant. We had a gas leak. Factory closed down. Supreme Court closed the factory. We had to revive it after 1 year. We had to give guarantees to the Supreme Court. 2,000 workers were on the road. Very tough. India, when we were growing, Airtel India, it was, for example, in 2008, we made net profits of, I think, 10,000 crores. It looked very good, very great story, but the effort behind it was so much.
I think 60% EBITDA कुछ आप बता रहे थे.
So it was, Africa was very unique from India. It was sometimes, especially markets like Nigeria, Congo, big markets for us, but tough markets.
किसी एक को डबल क्लिक करें, किसी एक.
Nigeria, for example, very tough market, very tough. And I used to go to the market. I even went to the Boko Haram area in north. I used to visit the markets, etc. We were number 2 in the market, much smaller than the leader. For example, I remember we took the right decision on a regulatory issue of KYC.
Okay.
Whereas leader didn't do it, we did it, and we safeguarded ourselves from a very serious regulatory problem. And so we did right things in tough markets also, but it does take a bit of toll on you. And but if you keep yourself light and positive, you come out well.
So you're also highly, highly optimistic.
Optimistic, hopeful, and I have a faith in myself, in my family, and in God.
Wow. I think that's a perfect, message to kind of end this podcast. Be optimistic, believe in yourself, stay with your family, and believe in your God, right? Great, and that's a great message for everyone forever. Thank you so much, sir, for that amazing guidance. Anything final?
No, thank you, Akash. I'm really delighted to work with you and your team, and I'm sure Zypp will be a great brand in times to come.
Absolutely. We'll build it together, sir. Absolutely a pleasure to have you on the podcast as well as on Zypp.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.